Oh, I cut my pinky. I bought one of those mandolin slicers, you know, cha. Yeah, I was slicing onions. I haven't sliced onions in like 20 years. My son doesn't like onions, but then, you know, well, little kids, it's all about control. I met my son when he was 5. Yeah, the first meal I made for him, I think it was about 6 months later, maybe a year. A pasta sauce with onions. He had a fit. We never even so much as had an onion in the house after that. Yeah, but before the onions, it was 2001, the bad side of 2001. I was on the bad side of 39. I was singing in a band. Well, we were singing children's birthday parties, you know, rock versions of The Wheels on the Bus, and clean versions of hair metal songs. It was ridiculous. We were called the Whirlybirds. So this one day, we go to this house of a single father. We never got single fathers. And his husband, had left him. They had joint custody of the kid, the boy, who would later become my son. Well, the boy who I would call my son. Anyway, it was his second birthday party. It was his fifth birthday party, just to be clear. Spare the dads from being in the same room together. And when we finished our set, the single father came up to me and asked me to come back. For another party? I asked. He laughed. Later that night, he meant. It was the end of his weekend with his kid. So, I came back later that night. And I was greeted at the front door with this. A whirlybird, he said. I said, a whirlybird is a helicopter. He said, what do you really sing like? I didn't know how to take that. I bet you're a real singer, he said. I'm the kind of person who knows things about people. I froze. And I did the only thing I knew how to do. My best Frank Sinatra impersonation. I really did get a kick out of him, I think. Yeah, he called me Frankie for the next 19 years. Whirlybird never really fit. Years later, I don't even remember when, it was our weekend with our son. But he had somewhere to be. So it was my weekend with his son, who was in the process of becoming my son. But on his way out, and who even knows where he was going, he gave me this hat. A little gift to assuage his guilt. Like one Sinatra would wear, he said, kissing me on the forehead. I thought, not while scrambling eggs. But when I found myself in the ER, having my pinky bandaged up, his son had just left, hence the onions. Finally, I thought an onion through my tears. My husband had just left. He just moved out of the house where I found him, and his son stayed with me while I cried and I cried and I cried, even though I understood that hurt people, and now it was his turn. And then when his son, who was also my son too, left because he had a life to live too, I think I kept slicing onions because I just wanted to cry. If I really think about it. Because who really craves an onion? What does it add? A kick, I suppose. When they stitched me up at the ER, they asked me how it happened. Mandolin, I said, and then I sought to clarify the kitchen instrument, not the musical instrument. The nurse nodded, but didn't say anything, so I continued. I was a musician who was this person going on like this, but I really only sang for my husband and his son, who was also my son. I never really played the mandolin, but we get these injuries all the time, sir, the nurse said. They're very common, the mandolin, the kitchen instrument, not the musical instrument, I mean. And I felt my eyes well up very suddenly. Is it hurting? She said. I think it's just the onion lingering. She didn't know what to make of that, so she continued stitching me. But as I was carrying my injured hand home, and with only 9 fingers, packed up what I could and came here, I thought to myself, am I really so easily just like someone else?